Welcome to Barsides. This is Justin on the day 3 vlog at Hardware IO here. Today is another day of training. Yesterday was day 2 of training. We got further into the weeds in the Bluetooth low energy specs. We looked at sort of being able to do a machine in the middle attack and be able to relay across great distances. Basically, we just did a demo where we had our VM relaying from the Bluetooth adapter plugged into our computer over Wi-Fi to a Raspberry Pi with another Bluetooth adapter. But the instructor was saying that during COVID, when he was doing training, he was having students do the relaying all the way over the internet. So it can cover pretty much any distance to relay a Bluetooth signal. And that's the kind of attacks that are used against cars that use Bluetooth for their keys, like Tesla does. So he said there were some tools that have been demoed and talked about at conferences, but have never been publicly released because people don't want to make it easier to steal cars. We also then started taking a look at some other Bluetooth low energy attacks, some other vulnerabilities. We got to spend some time actually going over what the Bluetooth assessment process looks like for him. And then we got to play with, he had this little BMW remote control car that uses Bluetooth to connect to a phone to be remotely controlled. But we got to play around with a simulated version that he had given us on our ESP32s that let us play around. We could tether our phone to it and use a little joystick, and then on the screen it would show you which direction it was being told to go and things like that. So got to have a lot of fun digging into that, like sort of going through the process of how you would assess this. I was capturing the Bluetooth packets from the phone to get an idea of what was going on there. We did some minor reverse engineering of the APK itself that was being used to control it to get some more ideas on how things were working, and basically determined it was using a pre-shared encryption key that was in the application, and basically every car was using the same thing. So then once we peeled that back, we were able to then figure out how the data looks that determines how it's moving around. And so there was an extra little challenge on the car on the ESP32 to enable what was called police mode, where it would cause the LED that's on here to pulse blue. That was supposed to be our homework. Luckily, I got that done in class, so I was given a nice little prize here, a bottle of Polish vodka called bison grass. There's I don't know if you can see it. There's a blade of grass in there, and the vodka is a little yellow in color. And the instructor said that that's rumored to be because the bison pee on the grass to make it extra flavorful. So looking forward to trying that out with some friends when I get back home. One thing I wanted to mention was just the pure amount of hardware that is a part of this class that has made it just so great. Like, he gives us all this stuff so that we can keep doing this stuff when we get home. We can replay all the different exercises we've done in class, which is hugely helpful because I've taken some hardware trainings in the past, and it's great when you have the hardware and you have access to it when you're on site. But it really sucks when you get home and you're like, oh, I got to rebuild this whole lab. And then there's little inconsistencies because the instructor had equipment and stuff that was many years old, and the modern version don't have the same chips in it. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of all the stuff that we've been given thus far through 2 days of training. So we've got 2 of these ESP32s with custom firmware flashed on there, written by the instructor, that basically we have a bunch of different modes we can enable to turn it into simulating different Bluetooth devices. We've got a Raspberry Pi with the software already installed that we need for relaying and things like that. We have a Zigbee USB dongle that has been flashed with a application called Sniffle, which is for sniffing Bluetooth Low Energy. We have this Nordic Semiconductor Bluetooth sniffer. We've got two of these little Bluetooth adapters. So the nice thing is we can have one in our laptop, one in the Raspberry Pi, and then that gives the Raspberry Pi two Bluetooth connections because it has its built-in one as well. And we got a phone, so Nexus 5X, that has a bunch of applications that are used for pairing with different Bluetooth devices. And then a lot of the devices that can be paired with the phone are emulated on these ESP32s. So overall, yesterday was a great day, another great day of class. I do have one complaint, but it has nothing to do with the class. It has to do with people in the class. Like there's a pair of people and they're just, I don't know why they're in the class. They seem like they're just wasting money. And for some reason, the one person decided they wanted to like vent to me as class ended. The teacher's really doing his best to try and make sure everyone is on the same page. So every single exercise, he will stop and make sure everyone was able to do it properly, which is, in my opinion, a great aspect. You don't want to leave people behind because as soon as someone starts falling behind, they're going to become so overwhelmed that they're not going to be able to catch up. So I like the way that he's teaching and instructing. And this person has just not been paying attention the entire time. They like refuse to do any of the exercises. I don't know why they're there. Once again, it seems like they're wasting money, they're wasting time, they're wasting space. And then like on the way out, they're just like, oh, I'm not plugging something into my computer from a foreign national. It's like, what are you doing here then? Like, you know that the teacher, like you knew who the teacher was before you signed up for the class. And I don't understand why they don't bring a computer that they can actually use if that's a problem for them. And then like also they're like, the person was like, oh, we go and we do training, blah, blah, blah. And basically was flat out saying like, oh, we're getting ideas from this that we're going to put into our slides and our training. So it's like, you're just coming here to steal training slides. Like that's real shitty. Wasn't a fan of that. Don't like the way that they act and their attitudes, and it was a big red flag when they said that they went to Hack Miami recently and it was a horrible conference, because I've heard nothing but great things about Hack Miami. So they really, my spider senses are going off about these people. They seem like the kind of people that we don't really need in the information security community. So yeah, that was the big downside. Other than that, yesterday was another fun day because the weather was really nice. Got to walk over to the Starbucks across the street from the hotel. The roads around here are just absolutely hostile towards pedestrians. They don't. It's like a four-way intersection, and in order to cross the street in one direction, they don't have a crosswalk. So you have to cross 3 streets instead of just crossing 1 street. Absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense to me. After class, I went out because I needed to go and get some batteries for some Bluetooth devices that I want to play with today. So went out to CVS and went to Bonchon for dinner. Always love getting me some Korean fried chicken. I did drop the top on the Mustang convertible this time around, so that was a fun experience. I think that's the first time I think I've ever been in a convertible with the top down. So yeah, that was fun until I put the top up, and then the rear windows would not go all the way up. So there was like this gap between the rear windows and the front windows when everything was closed, and I was like, oh crap, this is going to be bad. If it rains or anything like that, or even just that gap is probably enough for like someone who's trying to break in to be like, oh yeah, I'll just wedge something in there, break the window and get in. But I did some Googling, and apparently the motors in the back are just really weak and can't push the windows all the way up for some reason. So I just grabbed the window and pulled it up, and it twisted enough to lock into place, and we're back in business. Everything's sealed up tight, so we're good to go there. Yeah, today is last day of training, so hoping to get the most out of that. I've got a couple different devices. I've got a Bluetooth low energy padlock. I've got a temperature sensor. I've got a drawer lock. So goes with this and just sort of locks up. And then I've also got a Bluetooth low energy gateway, which I think I can hook this up to. So potentially be able to sniff the traffic going between these two, see if there's any encryption of any kind. One of the things we definitely learned yesterday is that majority of devices do not implement link layer encryption. If they're going to do encryption, they're going to do it at the application layer, and even then, it's rarely done, and if it's done poorly. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. Also, we've got happy hour going on after training today, so that should be fun to have some beers with people and hear about how their training went. But I'll let you know tomorrow how today went. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.